Should be a fun midweek game in Nashville, a busy month of May for everybody in Major League Soccer. Will, appreciate you coming on. It seems like yesterday in some regards and seems like a whole nother season ago that we talked about the first time that these teams played at Sports Illustrated Stadium. And I would say certainly for Nashville, this team has a much different vibe than they did when they left New Jersey several weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to be with you. Appreciate the time as always. I mean, it is night and day, really. Just even the lineup that Nashville had the last time that they saw the New York Red Bulls. You're talking about two guys making their second ever starts in MLS in Wyatt Meyer and Matt Corcoran at the base of a 4-4-2 formation. BJ Callahan still implementing a lot of the new system. And 10 games later, it's taken. Nashville's won 6 games, including 3 out of their last 4. And his team now with Eddie Tagseth and Patrick Yazbek, two players who have not been in MLS for even a full calendar year, partnered together. It's really clicked. And a team that thought maybe that Gaston Brugman, last year's MLS Cup MVP for the LA Galaxy, would be one of those just written in Sharpie guys in the midfield. Hasn't been the case. It's been Yazbek and Tagseth, and really since those two have started to play together over these last couple of weeks and really over the last month, Nashville looks like a team that can finish right around where they are right now. They're fifth in the East and really pushing for one of those top 4 places.
And maybe I'm not talking about result wise and score wise. I think just overall, maybe their best result of the season coming off of a win against Charlotte. So many people have been talking about Charlotte being a team that's going to challenge for the top of the Eastern Conference, and not saying they will or they won't, but that was a little bit of a May statement game from Nashville this past weekend.
It certainly was. And I'll tell you what, 2 comeback wins now already this season where Nashville has conceded first and come back to win. That was certainly a big challenge in the past for this Nashville SC team under Gary Smith. And taking that next step and really asserting your dominance at home, I think has really been the key for this team. I mean, Nashville this season is 5-1-1 at home, 16 points. That's tied for the most points of the Eastern Conference so far this season. They've already equaled their amount of home MLS wins to all of last season. And this team really struggled at times when a team would sit back, let them have the ball for spells, and Nashville would have to break them down. Well, it turns out that's one of the strengths of this team. Long passing sequences. We saw a lot of those against Charlotte on Saturday. 12 corner kicks. There was a moment where you had about 6 or 7 within about a 30-minute span in the first half where Nashville was trying to get the dam to break, and ultimately had to wait until Charlotte had scored first in that second half and Lael Abad had opened the scoring. But that's been the biggest change for this team. One goal doesn't kill them when it's given up. And BJ Callahan said after the game over the weekend, kind of woke us up a little bit. He told the media, we never want to concede right when we come out from halftime. But if anything, giving up that goal kind of forced us to snap out of it a little bit. And sometimes you get lulled to sleep a little bit. You have bad 10, 15-minute spells. You don't have anything, to punish you for it. And you can finish a game that way. It certainly was not the case Saturday. And I thought Nashville was really up to the challenge. It's the kind of game they're going to have to win in order to not only just get a playoff spot, but make some noise this season.
Who would think that over the course of the last 3 weeks, you'd have a Nashville team and a Red Bull team each having the opportunity to say, we scored 7 goals in a game. I know you guys did it against Chicago a couple weeks back then, end of April, winning that one 7-2. New York coming off a 7-0 win over the Galaxy. I'm curious, even though as we record here, and these midweek games, I feel like sometimes get lost in the shuffle a little bit. What was maybe the early Nashville take on what they saw from Red Bull over the course of this weekend?
Yeah, I think the early take is this is the team Nashville can't beat. I mean, honestly, coming in with 7 goals, it is obviously a New York team that defensively has always suffocated Nashville in possession. So it's always been a bit of a difficult matchup. And I think when you look at the way, New York was able to win that game over the weekend, just how clinical they were. And those two strikers, and Choupo-Moting and Forsberg obviously doing what he did. And as you know, second player in club history for New York to have multiple goals, multiple assists in an MLS match. So I think the early take is, if not now, when? Nashville feels like this is probably its best chance to beat this New York team that it's had in a really, really long time. You're playing at home. You've got confidence. It's not a decision day game at the very end of the season for once, also here in Nashville or in an October contest. So Nashville feels like it's healthy right now, feels like it's actually got some pretty good competition to be able to rotate this team and come into Wednesday and still be on the front foot, still look close to its best. I talked to BJ Callahan about that last week. He's got three guys that are really quality wingers competing for minutes right now on the outside. Jacob Schaffelberg, who scores his first MLS goal over the weekend. Ahmed Kassem, the U22 initiative player who comes in from Sweden, scores in his first two starts to start the season and has cooled off a little bit. And then Alex Muil, who picked up an assist, his 30th career MLS assist over the weekend, a beautiful backheel flick to Hani Mukhtar for the game-tying goal there early in the second half. So those three guys are all healthy. And then you've got a US U20 international like Matt Corcoran, who comes in last week in the U.S. Open Cup, who started that game up in New Jersey earlier this season and puts together a great result. B.J. Callahan looked at me last week and said, and I'm almost shaking my head like, all right, here's another guy that I've got to get minutes. Another guy I'm worried how he's going to get minutes at this point. And it's a problem Nashville's not had, to be quite honest with you, over their MLS history. Even when they have been at their best at times, it's been the same team running out there each and every game. So I think coming into this matchup with New York, Nashville feels like it can be close to its the best version of itself. I know it's a long-winded way to answer your question, but it feels like a good opportunity finally to where now they can rotate bodies and not have to rotate the entire system where they switch to a back three or do something totally different.
We'll finish with this one, and that was kind of the direction. You look at what both of these teams have coming up. I said busy May for Red Bull, busy May for Nashville as well. You look at it, this is kind of the month everyone's got midweek games. This is also the month that the Open Cup is in the middle of the week. I know you guys had a victory in the Open Cup. So did Red Bull. So this is like this weird stretch of almost 4 weeks in a row of playing weekend, midweek, weekend. At some point, for whether it's Red Bull, Nashville, and I don't know if it's on Wednesday for either team, there's got to be a little bit of roster rotation, you would think.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think for guys in this Nashville midfield specifically, is maybe where you could see that. Nashville's a little light at left back right now, a little bit lighter at right back. Josh Bauer, a converted center back, has filled in for Andy Nahar very well. I think that's maybe a spot you could see a possible change. Josh actually scored last week in the midweek against the Chattanooga Red Wolves in that 1-0 win and has 3 goals in all competitions already this season, with a couple of them with his feet is certainly not bad for a converted center back playing a little bit out of position. But I think for Nashville on the wings is where you could see a little bit of a change. Ahmed Kassem, the U22 Swedish winger who I mentioned, is someone who is hungry right now to get his spot back. Jacob Schaffelberg has kind of taken it away from him on that right wing. And Johnny Perez, the man on loan from LA Galaxy, is another one. And I asked BJ Callahan about him last week. He said he's got the dying art of taking on a defender one-on-one. So that's not something we teach wingers as much in the way a lot of these systems work around this league and around the world. He's the kind of guy that can break down a press by himself to where you don't have to ping together 3, 4, 5 passes in order to get around a line or get around a block. Johnny Perez is the type for Nashville that is probably the only one that can take a defender one-on-one. So I'd look for him to maybe get an opportunity, and then Gaston Brugman. I think those 3 guys specifically kind of had their places taken a little bit. Brugman, at this point in his career, with some of his injury history, not a guy that's going to start 25, 30 games at MLS, but I think right around that maybe 18 to 24 games started this season is his sweet spot. And considering he's been on the bench for the last couple, it feels like a natural time to get him back in the swing of things as well. Maybe for Eddie Tag, who ran 7.6 miles to lead all players Saturday against Charlotte.
Yeah, you say Brugman, that makes some Red Bull fans shudder based on the MLS
I get it.
a season ago. Will, thanks for coming on, giving us a couple minutes. I look forward to seeing you next couple days in person. Always such a great atmosphere in Nashville, one of our favorite trips of the entire season. Thanks again.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much.